Hi everyone, we're going to get things started. My name's Gabby Porter and I'm a senior in the valuations practice as well as one of the committee members on the WIN Deal Advisory team. Thanks so much for registering for this event. We had a ton of support and a lot of interest in the event, which was really awesome to see. Before I pass it over to Adam to get things started with the cooking class, I just wanted to take some time to give you an overview of WIN, kind of who we are and what we do. So this event specifically was co-organized between the WIN ENR and Deal Advisory teams. So I'd like to thank all of the respective committee members for all their hard work in putting this event together. WIN as itself is an internal grassroots career development program that's focused on women and is managed by individuals at the manager and below levels across the GTA. So with that, I'd like to introduce our home cook, Adam Kelly. Adam is a senior in the ENR Audit group who's obviously an avid home cook. He was recently on the Food Network Canada show Wall of Chefs, which for those of you who don't know is a cooking competition for amateur chefs. So I won't give away his episode in case some of you are still looking to tune in, but I think we might see some of the tips and tricks that he showed during that episode tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Adam to get things started.
Well, thank you, Gabby. I don't think I need any further introduction, but thank you so much to Gabby as well as to the Women's Interchange Network for inviting me to put on this class. So we had, over 250 signups, which is absolutely fantastic. Makes me a little bit nervous, but we're all going to cook together today. We're probably going to make some mistakes. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And by the end of it, what will you have taken home? You'll have prepared 2 portions of my Mediterranean couscous. We're going to make some homemade hummus. Top it with that chicken skewer that I really hope you have in the fridge marinating right now. Otherwise, not to worry. We can put it together quickly, as well as some crispy chickpeas, roasted veggies. It's going to be tons of fun. But without further ado, I think we need to get started. So first thing, if you haven't done so already, I just turned mine on a few minutes ago, but please go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature we're going to use to roast our chickpeas, as well as all our veggies. So our cherry tomatoes, our zucchini, and that's really going to come together with that creamy, nutty Israeli couscous. If you're one of those carnivores like me, topped with that chicken skewer, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So without further ado, we are live, so if anybody does have any questions as we go through the class, please comment in the YouTube chat. It will be monitored, and we will do our best to answer every question that does come up. Worst comes to worst, if you forget a step, or more likely, I forget a step, you do have the step-by-step instructions that were provided to you via email yesterday with photos. So if you did miss a step or you want to make this again because it's so damn delicious, you have that recipe to take home with you now. So without further ado, like I said, I'm going to give everybody a second to go ahead and preheat their oven to 425 degrees. Mine looks like it's actually just got up to heat. As you can probably hear the ding-a-ding-ding there. And first thing we're going to do is we really want to prepare what a lot of fancy chefs call their mise en place. So what is mise en place? That really just means getting all your ingredients together. A clean station, a clean kitchen is so much easier to work with and so much easier to clean up at the end as well. If you really clean as you go, pre-portion things, it reduces the chance that, instead of doing a half cup, you did a full cup, whether that's with butter or sugar. Sometimes that's not an issue. But in this case, we will follow along together. And I will probably need to move some camera angles here and there to get you a closer shot. So bear with me while we do that. As you know, we are live. So before we get started, cutting this produce and such, go ahead and give that produce a rinse if you haven't already. I did that before we started, but if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and do that. And while everybody goes ahead and gives that produce a rinse and a pat dry, let's talk a little bit more about those chicken skewers that you put together hopefully this morning. Like I said, about 4 to 6 hours of marination with those. It's a souvlaki style skewer, really brings together that Greek olive oil, delicious garlic, lemon juice. Those are all really going to work together, and that lemon juice is going to do one of two things. It's going to bring a bit of flavor, and it's also going to really help tenderize that chicken. But you would have noticed that instead of asking you to marinate that chicken overnight, which most marinade recipes generally call for, I did say just 4 to 6 hours. Hopefully you took a couple minutes to have lunch today and had a chance to do that. The reason I recommend only marinating for about 4 to 6 hours is just due to the fact that there is a lot of lemon juice in this marinade. As a result, because of that high acidity, it actually will start to cook the chicken, very much like ceviche with fish. The lemon juice is actually cooking the fish. So that acidity can cook the chicken a little bit. If you leave it too long, then sometimes you'll notice your chicken gets a little rubbery or mealy almost. And that's because the acid has already cooked it even before you put it in the oven or on the stove or whatever. So with that, let's go ahead and start chopping up this produce. So we're going to chop up 1 zucchini and some cherry tomatoes. It's about the whole pint of cherry tomatoes, maybe just a little bit less. Depends how much you like tomatoes. And we also have some fresh thyme we're going to pair that together with. We're going to start there. And what we're going to do is go ahead and chop that up. So I'm going to start with, I know I mentioned in the recipe 2 lemons. However, if you did prepare the chicken, you will already have used half a lemon for the marinade. So we actually do just need 1 lemon today to make our hummus, as well as the couscous dish. So I will come down here and just slice that lemon right in half. It's up to you whether you want to go lengthways or horizontally or vertically. There's many arguments as to what's better. I find when you're squeezing lemons, it's much easier to just go ahead and go with the vertical method. But it's really up to you. So we've now halved our 1 lemon. Like I said, we're not going to need that second one. Hopefully you've already put that in the marinade last night. What else do we have to chop up today? We have our zucchini. So we're going to go ahead. You can see the zucchini has this top here. We're going to take that off like so. And we can do the same to the back end as well. You want to minimize your waste as always. We can really use this whole zucchini. So try to keep your waste down. It's good for the planet and it's good for the dish. As much flavor-packed veggies as we can get in here, the better. So does this depend sort of on the size of your zucchini, but you are going for sort of 1/2-inch chunks. So with this, I'll probably try to cut it into 4 slices first. And whether those are even or not, you be the judge. And as you can see, I'm always trying to tuck in my fingers here. Lots of people try to slice, with their fingertips here, and you really risk losing those fingertips. So anytime you can, really try to curl those knuckles in, because a knife that slides across a pair of knuckles is a lot safer than a knife that slides across a pair of fingertips. So I have sort of 2 clean cut pieces of zucchini now here, as you can see, and then sort of 2 more buddy ends. It's a lot easier to cut these pieces together. So we'll go ahead, dice those into sort of 1/2-inch pieces. And I just will go slow so everybody can follow along. It doesn't matter if you're an absolute master chef or, like I said in my email, your all-star dish is toast. We're going to go step by step today, have a lot of fun doing it, and by the end of it, you'll have this great meal. So we are going to go ahead and just dice that up. So like I said, 1/2-inch chunks, but you're the only one that's going to be the judge tonight if those chunks are even or not. Then I can go ahead, finish it off with these sort of more buddy end looking pieces, but they taste just as delicious. Nothing has to be too uniform here. Everything's going to get roasted in that oven anyways. Okay. So with that, as you can see, I have all of my zucchini diced. I'm going to just go ahead and throw out these butts into my green bin. And now what we're going to do next is take our cherry tomatoes. Today I actually got a great pair that all different colors, as you can see here, which are going to just pop and add that little bit of extra color to the dish. When you're plating a dish like this, it really is important to have as many different colors as possible, because that really will help with your presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and push these zucchini pieces to the side, and I'll probably do about half these tomatoes, so just looking to slice those in half. Whoops. As so. So go ahead, slice your tomatoes. So I'll go ahead and do a couple of those. And again, nothing has to be perfect here. These tomatoes are going to get super sweet when they get roasted in that 425-degree oven. And we're going to get a little bit of char on the zucchini as well. It's really going to pop in this dish. Okay, so I've just about got those tomatoes chopped up. You want about an equal mix of tomatoes as well as zucchini. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just toss those on my sheet pan here. I'm going to switch back to a different view here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this to a small cookie sheet. I've just gone ahead and used a piece of parchment paper. I love parchment paper. Makes cleanup a cinch. And can, be used in the oven up to about 425 degrees. It is so much more non-stick than just using tin foil, no matter how much oil or grease you add to it. It's one of my favorite kitchen tools, so if you don't use parchment already, I highly recommend it. So go ahead, you're going to add those zucchini pieces to the tray, as well as with some of those tomatoes as well. So I'm going to switch back to my camera here and give you guys a show of what that looks like for me. And then, whoops, and we can see it's sliding on down. We are live, but you can see, so about an equal mix of zucchini and tomatoes. And then what we're going to add to that as well is some salt and pepper. So I just have some salt. Some salt here. Just gonna, if you're using kosher salt, just be generous. Salt really does bring flavor to every dish. A lot of the time, if you think a dish is missing something, 9 times out of 10, that's something it's missing is most likely salt. So I've gone ahead and I'm gonna place this dish right here. And we're just gonna take some fresh cracked pepper, grate that right on top. All right, so 2 things left to add to my vegetable mixture here, if you're following along on the recipe. So I have my thyme. I'm actually fortunate enough that this just comes from the back garden here, so very lucky to have that. So we're going to go ahead and just use your fingers to strip the thyme away from the stem. You don't really want that stem, but you want those really tasty, fragrant leaves instead. And we're just going to sprinkle some of those right onto our vegetables. If you weren't able to get fresh thyme, dried thyme works as well. You're probably just going to want to use about half a teaspoon. So if you get some chunks of the stem, as I'm doing right here, it's not the end of the world, but try to minimize the stem and focus on the amount of leaves, the thyme leaves that are going into this dish. All right, and last but not least, what does this dish? We're going to be using a lot of olive oil today. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a generous drizzle of olive oil. And then with clean hands here, I'm just going to go ahead and just give everything a nice toss. I just want to get the oil incorporated with everything and make sure all that seasoning has coated our vegetables. And just rinse off some of that oil. Okay, so what's left to put on this pan? We're going to take our chicken skewers out of the fridge. Like I said, hopefully they've been marinating about 4 or 6 hours. If not, we can go ahead and thread that chicken on. And we're going to add those chicken skewers actually directly to the pan. I'm going to show you another quick close-up shot of the pan. You do want to make sure that these veggies are spread out as much as possible, because what that allows is air to circulate in the oven, and it allows things to get crispy. You'll get a little bit of a char, we hope, on the sides of these vegetables, and it's really going to add to their flavor. If you bunch everything up too closely, things start to steam instead of start to roast, and as a result, you'll get those soggy vegetables that your mom used to might serve back in your childhood. Not mine though, so I was very fortunate. So we're going to go ahead, add those chicken skewers and to our pan, and we're going to get ready to throw that in the oven. So I'll give you guys one last shot here. As you can see, as much room as possible with these veggies, trying to spread them out and just leaving a bit of room for the 2 chicken skewers there. Whoops. We're just going to go ahead and add that to, not put it in the oven quite yet, because we'll put both trays in the oven at the same time. They're both going to take about 18, 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do next is start to prepare my chickpeas. So my chickpeas in this dish are going to do one of 2 things for me. So they're going to, not only are we going to make hummus with them, which I know a lot of people are excited about, because hummus can be something that costs $4 or $5 at the grocery store, but you can make for just pennies at home. I think we have a question. So Lauren has a question asking, should the oven be on bake or roast? It's really up to your own oven. Many have different settings. I would, for this, suggest just going with bake. Roast can sometimes turn on the broiler as well. But for this recipe, I would suggest just going with bake. If you are on convection, I would recommend turning the heat down to about 400 degrees. All right. So as I was saying, we're going to use chickpeas 2 different ways in this dish. We're going to make some hummus. It's going to be lots of fun. We're going to do it very shortly. And we're also going to roast the chickpeas. What roasting the chickpeas in an oven at 425 degrees does is really make them crispy. And they actually become a fantastic, sort of low-calorie, really healthy for you snack. It's a great chip replacement. You can toss them with some seasoning, and it makes, like I said, a fantastic snack. I'm going to switch back to my close-up here. So I've just gone ahead and taken the lid off a can of chickpeas. And chickpeas always come in this sort of slimy water. I'm not sure quite what it is. But so what I'll do is just take a fine mesh sieve here and dump those chickpeas all in there, and we'll just give them a quick rinse under the sink. Using cold water. Just want to get that, sort of goo off them. And what you can actually do is actually just give that can a rinse out, because what that will let you do is just put those chickpeas right back in the can where they started. And if you spilled 10 to 15 like I just did, not a big deal. All right, so half these chickpeas we're going to use to roast, half we're going to use to make hummus. So I'm going to take my can of chickpeas, about half the can, and again, I'm going to dump them onto a cookie sheet. It doesn't need to be perfectly half, just eyeball it, whatever looks reasonable to you. So I have these now. Similar to what we did with the veggies, Another generous drizzle of olive oil, 1-2 seconds. Some salt again. Some fresh cracked pepper. And as well, we're going to add our smoked paprika. So the difference between normal paprika and smoked paprika is, well, exactly in the name. Smoked paprika adds a delicious smoky flavor to dishes. It's used a lot in Spanish cuisine, in dishes like, I can't think off the top of my head, lots of dishes, paella. If you ever taste that real smokiness in a dish, that's where it's most likely coming from, is smoked paprika. So that's really going to help out our chickpeas today and bring them tons of flavor and maybe just a little kick. So instead of getting your hands dirty this time, you can actually just give that tray a nice shuggle. Make sure those chickpeas are evenly coated. And just the same principle as last time, try to make sure those are spaced out on the cookie sheet as much as possible. Okay, who's ready to put things in the oven? It's going to take about 20 minutes, so hopefully my estimation about 45 minutes for this dish is right. I know some people are banking on me for it. So let's go ahead, put these things in the oven, and let's set a timer for about 18, or actually, pardon me, take a step back. Let's set a timer for about 10 minutes, because what we're going to want to do is flip those chickens, give those veggies a bit of toss, as well as the chickpeas. So I'm going to go ahead, put these in the oven. So what you're going to actually want to do is put the veggies on the bottom row here, on the bottom rack, and your chickpeas on the top rack. You want more heat going towards those veggies and chicken, hence why we'll put the chickpeas on the top rack. So I'm going to give everybody a sort of 2-3 minute break to get caught up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the YouTube chat. You also have the recipe in front of you. We're going to take a 2-3 minute commercial, and we'll be right back.
All right, sorry about that, folks. Hopefully everybody can hear me again. My headset died on me, so apologies for that, but let's get right back to it. I got about 6 minutes left in the oven before we're gonna give everything a toss. Please let us know in the chat if you can hear us now. So sounds like we are able to hear things again. So we're back. Perfect. Good to hear. Sorry about that, everybody. So I have about half my chickpeas left. I'm going to go ahead and add those to what I have today is a small little food processor. I am just going to adjust this angle here quickly. So I did realize I did forget the step to dry the chickpeas. It's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to make or break this dish by any means. So we are going to add the rest of the chickpeas to the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, it's also totally okay to use either a blender or some just good old arm strength. If you have a masher or a fork, you can really improvise in this situation. You might not get as smooth a hummus, but you will get a delicious tasting hummus. So I have my little KitchenAid food processor here. You know, if you ever need a great gift for anybody, these things are about $50. I use it almost every day. It takes up practically no space. It's just about 2.5 cups. It's fantastic. So highly recommend this if you don't have one already. If you're in the market for a food processor, this is a great one. So I am going to try to follow my own recipe here. So with that, what we're going to do is squeeze one of those lemon halves into the chickpeas that we already have. I'm going to use one of these sieves to make sure I don't get any seeds in there. But, you know, just do your best to make sure no seeds fall in. Otherwise, that sharp blade will, you know, make them part of your hummus. All right. So I have about half a lemon in there. I'm going to go ahead and add about 2 tablespoons of water. The water is just going to help thin out that hummus a little bit. So go ahead and add that, and just a splash more because I'm guesstimating a little bit here. And what else are we going to add to this, you're probably asking. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of cumin. So I've got my cumin here. Cumin's a Middle Eastern spice. You know, it's really pungent, as you can probably smell right now. But it's really going to add that extra layer of flavor. And last but not least, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, so I'm just checking my timer again, making sure that the chicken's not burning or there's veggies. We've got about 3 minutes left, which is perfect timing. And what else am I going to add into my hummus? We did skip the step of mincing the garlic. So what we're going to do is take 1 large garlic clove or 2 smaller ones. The one I have here is quite large. So we're going to go ahead and give that just a rough chop or a mince if you have a garlic press. And that's going to go right into the food processor. What my favorite thing to use is to sort of work with garlic is actually just a rasp like this. It's sort of used generally to grate hard cheeses, but also does a fantastic job with grating garlic. I find sometimes if you use a garlic press, you do get very cheated. Sometimes you press a large clove of garlic and you just kind of wonder where it all went. So I'm going to give that a tap. I've got my garlic in there. You know, I've gone ahead, I've got my oil in there, my lemon juice. What's left is I need to add a little bit of salt. So just a pinch or about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. You can season with salt more to taste after. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to blend that hummus. So if you are using a blender, I do suggest you use the pulse mode. And slowly pulse that and scraping down the sides as it comes together. With the food processor here, I'm lucky enough that I don't have to do that as much. Everything should come together. If things do seem a little bit thick, what we are going to do is just add a little bit of extra water until things really come together and become smooth. So I'm going to head over here, put my lid on, and start to blend that hummus. I have about a minute left on my timer, so it should be perfect timing. So go ahead. You can see that's really going to start coming together. Looks like mine is the perfect consistency. And the longer you blend that, it's really going to come together. We may have some hummus purists tuning in today who are wondering, where's the tahini in this hummus? I excluded the tahini. It isn't for everybody, but if you do want to try it, it is a fantastic addition. You might ask, what is tahini? Tahini is a ground roasted sesame seed paste. You can actually also make it at home quite easily because it is quite expensive, I find, at the grocery store. And that just adds that extra layer of nuttiness to the hummus. In this dish, I don't find we need it. So, just going to come back here, blend it a little bit more, take a look, and it looks great. And if you can hear right now, it sounds like my oven is beeping. So I'm going to go ahead, take the chickpeas, and my veggies and chicken all out of the oven. Doesn't really matter what order you take it out in. As you can see, we're starting to get some brown in here. You can see the spices really starting to brown a little bit. Go ahead, give those a jiggle. And I can really start to see the skins crisp up, which is exactly what we're looking for. Next, you don't want to leave your oven door open too long like I did. But next, we can just go ahead. As you can see here, give our veggies a little bit of a toss. Again, try to keep them spread out as far as possible. We can also flip those chicken skewers. I'm trying to do it for the camera, so it might not be the most graceful. And what we'll actually do at the end is crisp these chicken and veggies up under the broiler. That'll add a nice, browning to your chicken, a nice sear, and it won't look as gray as it does right now, maybe. So let's pop those back in the oven. Mine look like they need about 10 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 10 more minutes. And hit OK. So we're going to pause here for a second, take any questions quickly. My hummus is put together here. You can just go ahead and leave that to the side right now. What I'll actually ask everybody to do with that hummus is, just grab a spoon and taste it. Does it taste like, what does it need? Does it need a little bit more salt? Is it really garlicky? Does it have enough acidity? When you're making things, you might have seen the Netflix show, salt, sugar, fat, and heat. Those things come together and, really balance out every dish. We have a little bit of heat here from the cumin, acidity from the lemon juice, fat from the chickpeas, and some sweetness from the chickpeas as well, really. So mine tastes great. If yours doesn't, there's likely it might just try adding a little bit more salt. And if that doesn't do it, then maybe it's a little bit of lemon juice, but that's up to you to figure out. We're going to about 10 minutes on the clock. What I'm going to go do is take a medium pot here, and we want to heat that up. We're going to start cooking our Israeli couscous. So just, medium saucepan. If you have it, I'd prefer to use about a tablespoon of butter. Otherwise, you can substitute with the same amount of olive oil. What we're going to do is put on medium-high heat here. We're actually going to go ahead and toast the couscous. By toasting the couscous, what you really do is bring out its nuttiness and really bring out all the flavor in it. I'm going to turn that butter down because I realize we do need to grate our other garlic cloves. So go ahead, mince that last garlic clove, or if you have 2 left and you really like garlic, it's up to you. You want to scare away vampires? Go for it. In these social isolation times, these are the best times to load up on garlic because the chances of running into family and friends is a lot less. So I'm going to go ahead, armed with, like I said, my favorite rasp, my garlic clove. Gonna wait until this butter starts to melt. And what we want to do with the garlic is cook it just until we start to smell it. If it starts to burn or it starts to brown, we've gone too far. Once you start to smell it, it's fragrant. That's when we want to pour our couscous in, and we're going to cook that for sort of 2 or 3 minutes and toast that couscous, and it's really going to change everything. You can also apply the same method to toasting rice, or if you ever make, what's the word I'm looking for? Risotto, the Italian dish, or boiled rice. That's one of the famous steps in it as well, is to toast the rice. Really brings out the nuttiness and tons of flavor. So, looks like my butter is just about melted here. I want to go about medium-high heat. And I'm going to go ahead, get the rest of that garlic in there. It's probably only going to take about 30 seconds. And like I said, keep a very close eye on that because it will not take long. So I'm just starting to smell that. Smells fantastic. There is really no better smell than garlic butter. Maybe add in onions and you have the perfect trifecta. So I'm going to go ahead, add in my 3/4 cup of Israeli couscous. You can turn that heat down medium. You really want to make sure that it's coated with the butter or oil that you're using. And we're going to go ahead and remember those thyme leaves we used on the veggies? We're going to go ahead and strip a couple more of those into our dish here. But the fresh thyme is going to add a little bit of flavor and just some extra color as well. Like I said, get a couple stems in there, it's not the end of the world. You're going to start to hear that couscous pop a little bit, and that might be the thyme as well. Just make sure you continue to stir. You don't want it to burn. But you will see that couscous start to brown a little bit. And you can smell the nuttiness coming out of it as well. And I'm just going to add the rest of that thyme. I've got my garlic in there. And we're just stirring constantly. If things seem like they're getting out of control, just take that pan right off the heat like I am right now. And you'll have no issues in no time. As this is toasting, we also want to add salt and pepper again. As you can see, I'm really salting and adding pepper to my dish throughout the cook. That really builds different layers of flavor, and it's always important to make sure you at least start salting the dish at the start of the cooking. You'll never be able to achieve that same level of flavor adding salt on top of your dish after it's cooked. It just won't happen. So, it's been about 2 to 3 minutes here. You can see my couscous starting to get toasted. I got about 5 minutes left on my timer. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick peek. Just try not to let too much heat out of that oven. I'm going to show you guys here. Not the easiest thing to see. But we are starting to get a little bit of color. You can see some of those flecks starting to get a little bit golden brown. That's exactly what we're looking for. You can really start to smell that thyme and that garlic. And okay, I think I'm ready to add my 1.5 cups of chicken or veggie stock here. If you're vegetarian, not a problem, use veggie stock. So we're going to add that. You're going to hear a little bit of a hiss, that's okay. And again, taste, guys. As much as you can, grab a new spoon, or if it's just cooking for yourself, double dip. Go ahead and taste that stock. Does it taste salty to you? It should taste the right amount of flavor, so you can't encourage tasting throughout the dish enough. So we're going to bring this at a medium-high heat up to a boil, and then what we're going to do is let it actually simmer for sort of 10 or so minutes. That's going to allow our chicken and veggies to finish their roast, and we're going to bring everything together. Does anyone have any questions at this point? We're happy to answer them. Thanks so much for tuning in again. I'm having so much fun doing this, so hope you guys are as well. If I've missed some crucial steps, well, that's just part of cooking. We're still going to get a fantastic tasting dish by the end of this. and we'll be happy, well fed, and very grateful for what we have. So it looks like we're just about getting up to a boil. And then we'll bring it down to a simmer, and like I said, 8-10 minutes. That stock's going to really get soaked up into that Israeli couscous and really make it come to life. For some of you, this may be your first time having Israeli couscous. It's a little bit different than your standard couscous. You know your standard couscous is very minuscule little pieces, and also it's a very texturally different dish. This is more like little pieces of pasta, hence why it's often sold as pearl couscous. Very nutty, chewy, and I much prefer it to your standard couscous. So, looks like I'm at a boil, so I'm going to reduce that down. We're just going to wait till that cooks off. So, how's everybody feeling? Hope we're doing well. Progressing through the recipe. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, or like I said, I've probably skipped a few steps. This is my first time doing this, but I do encourage everybody, if you do want to see more of these fun videos, I'm going to try to do lots of fun weekly cooking night videos. Please go ahead, subscribe to that YouTube channel. There's going to be tons of fun content coming out. Very much like this. Simple dishes, 45 minutes, looks great on the plate, and really easy to put together. So it looks like I need to reduce my heat a little bit because things are boiling. You just want small bubbles here, and you do not want to put the lid on. And the reason you don't want to put the lid on is because you actually want that stock to get soaked in and evaporate. If we put that lid on top, we're going to create lots of moisture, and that stock's going to take even longer to cook off. With about 1 minute left on my timer here, I'm going to check my chickpeas. So to give them one more of those shake, and with your hand, if you're brave enough, or grab a spoon and let it cool off. You just want to check how that chickpea feels. You want to just give it a little squish here. Mine look like they're still a little bit squishy, so they can take a little bit longer in the oven to get to that optimal crispiness.
Lauren says she's behind and she broke a bowl, but she's enjoying it.
All right. So it looks like I'm at a good simmer here. I'm going to let that cook off. And, your timer is probably coming up. So go ahead, like I said, check those chickpeas. And what we can also do is go ahead and check that chicken and those veggies as well. Looks like my veggies are starting to look good. Definitely feel cooked. And if you cook them too long, those tomatoes are really going to start to break down. We want to keep them in their natural state as possible. So what I'm actually going to do, timing is never perfect in the kitchen, no matter how hard we try sometimes. So what I'm actually going to do is go ahead, take these veggies out, put them into a bowl, reserve them, and I want to get that chicken a little bit extra crispy, as I said. So I'm going to actually place that under the broiler. This is an optional step. What you could also do, alternatively, is take if you're not, too familiar with the broiler, just go ahead, take a small fry pan like this, heat up a little bit of oil or butter till it's at a high heat, and then just sear off those pieces of chicken. That'll just add a nice brown crust and a little bit of extra flavor. So maybe go back, take a look at your couscous. Is it bubbling away like a hot tub, or are we getting nice small bubbles like you would in a champagne bottle? I don't know. You're shooting for the latter. You want that to slowly cook off, absorb into the couscous. And what's going to happen as well is because we're not using water, we're using chicken stock. Where do you think all that flavor is going to go? Right into the couscous. So, like I said, chickpeas are crisping up. In my case, I am a bit of a perfectionist. I want that chickpea to be perfectly crispy, but you may be happy, with something a little bit less, and that is okay. I'm going to move these to the bottom rack, because like I said, what I want to do is I want to take these veggies off into a bowl, instead, I'm going to broil that chicken a little bit and just get some color on it. So I'm just going to go ahead, scoop these veggies into a bowl. Does not need to be perfect. These are smelling great. If there's a couple of residual veggies left on the plate, no problem. But if you are using parchment paper, like I recommended earlier, I do suggest you go ahead and remove that parchment paper because parchment paper is only good to about 450 degrees. Sometimes that broiler is going to get much, much hotter. Alright, looks like about half my liquid in the Israeli couscous has been absorbed. So we're almost there, you know. And if you didn't set a timer, no problem, just keep an eye on it. Once it starts to absorb the liquid a bit more, we'll start to stir it. But for now, at least with mine, it looks like there's enough liquid in there that we don't need to start stirring quite yet. So, chickpeas are crisping away. Don't forget about this delicious hummus we made. Hope you have your feta cheese out. And this dish is going to come together, you know, in the next 10 minutes. Okay, my couscous is starting to get at that point. I'm going to take my 2 chicken skewers here, prop those under the broiler, but as I said, otherwise if you're not comfortable with the broiler, just heat up some oil or butter in a hot pan and just quickly sear those off. You don't want to overcook them, so just 30 seconds, maybe a minute aside until they get a nice brown on them. Going to check my chickpeas. Now once more. And I'll do the brave squish. We're almost there. About 2 more minutes with these chickpeas. They are just going to pop. And like I said, they also become that really addictive snack. Even with this smoked paprika and salt combo on them, they are delicious. Pop it in your mouth. Try it. You know, again, you want to just be tasting every element in your dish as you go through. You know, does it need salt? Does it need a little bit of acid? These are things you probably have lying around your kitchen, and they're easy to have. So, why not? Alright, so I'm going to show you this. Or we're going to switch to this other camera here, actually. It's harder than I imagined. Whoops, and I spilled. So I won't try that again. But we're at the point where we're just going to want to start to stir. As you can see, that couscous is really growing in size. And as a result, is really starting to get loaded up with that chicken stock. Now, it wouldn't be a perfect tutorial if I didn't do a spill. So I'm just going to clean that up, and we will get back to it. All right. This is not primetime television. This is cooking with Adam, so mistakes do happen, spills happen. But we're all cooking together. I hope we're all having fun. And my couscous is just about the way there. A little bit of residual stock is okay, but you want to cook it out as much as possible. It's just like cooking pasta. You really want it to absorb all that flavor, all that liquid, and be nice and al dente or tender to the bite. You can smell that garlic. You can smell that thyme. Be careful with the broiler. 30 seconds can change things very quickly. So do keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on those chickpeas. You can see mine starting to brown up and really start to look how I want them. my stock is just about cooked off here. I'm going to try to give you guys a good close-up shot here of what that looks like. So this is what looks like just about 30 seconds away from being completed. So as you can see, when I pull the spoon away, there is still a bit of liquid. So we want that to cook off as much as possible. So about 1 minute more, I would say, for my couscous. But that's a good way to be the judge. If you take the spoon and pull it away, you know how much liquid follows in that trail. All right, one last check on my chickpeas, and they seem nice and crunchy. So just wanted to say, thank you again to the WIN Network for having me today. It's been so much fun. We're going to start to really put this dish together. I'm going to show you some techniques, how to really make your dish pop. Look great for friends, family. If you are having them over this summer, really make that dinner party hit home and have your friends go wow. So my couscous is just about there. And I use hot smoked paprika, so when I take a bite of that, I can certainly feel it on my lips. All right, my chicken. You can see here, I'm not doing a very good job of showing it. It does have a bit of extra color on it now, just that extra crisp. Really looks great on the plate. Nobody likes a gray looking piece of chicken. And really adds to the flavor as well. Okay, so I think my couscous is there. I'm going to show you guys right now. Sorry, it's harder than it looks. Sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy here. I'm going to try not to do that. But as you can see much less liquid. When I pull that away, you can really see the pan, as opposed to before when we could see a lot of that liquid. So, what are we going to do with this? I'm going to go ahead, add that other half of my lemon. That's going to add that acidity piece. Give that a squeeze. Stir it in. Cancel my oven here. So now I come over. I took my chickpeas out of the oven if you didn't catch me doing that. Now I have my veggies that I placed in the bowl. I want to take about half these and add them right into the couscous mixture. About half. You want it, and what's great, and a sort of helpful plating tip is actually to leave the other half of the veggies to add on top. This is a great tip for all pastas and really presenting any dish by incorporating some into the dish and then adding additional vegetables or sauce on top. You really showcase all the components of the dish rather than just mixing them into that couscous. So I've added in those veggies, like I said, about half of them. It's okay if you've broken a couple tomatoes. And what we are going to do is also add about half of our feta cheese. So I've got my block of feta here. If you bought it pre-crumbled, no problem. But I'm going to go ahead and crumble that into the dish. Give my hands a rinse after contemplating wiping them on my apron. Okay, let's try to give you another shot of this dish here. So, whoops. Okay, so this is way harder than it looks. Like I said, folks, this is not primetime TV. But you can see that I do have my feta in there. I have half of my veggies and a squeeze of lemon. Go ahead, give that a gentle toss. And this is really what's going to form the base of our dish. So that can go ahead and sit. Give it a quick taste. Again, grab another spoon. Give it a quick taste. Does it taste like it has enough salt? Add a little bit of that if need be. Mine tastes great. Hopefully yours does too. So I'm going to go ahead, grab my 2 bowls. This makes 2 portions. You're always welcome to double this recipe. It is one that does double well. So I've got my 2 bowls placed here. And what I'm going to do is, before we actually plate the couscous mixture, remember that hummus we made? We're going to grab that. We're going to grab a small spoon. And I'm going to go ahead and just sort of make like a ring of hummus almost with this dish. You know, it doesn't need to be perfect. You're going to place that couscous on top. You know, one of those. Or, you know, alternatively, what you could just do is one plating technique I love. It makes restaurant plating look, you know, a lot easier than the pros want you to think it is. Just add this hummus to one side of the plate and take this spoon, you know, drag it across, and you know, now we've got this nice Picasso-esque looking plate, which, you know, we can build on and continue to build layers, and it's going to look great. So whatever way you go, you know, add the hummus to the bottom of the plate. We're going to take that couscous mixture. We're going to divide it evenly between the bowls. As you can see, you know, lots of great color there. And as much as you can, you know, you want to try to keep it within that hummus boat that you made. That way it's just going to look great. If you've gone the other way, then, you know, maybe suggest plating it sort of against how you smacked the hummus across the plate. So if I try this again, it's just so much harder than it looks, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and give up on that. But I can assure you that it looks great. We will send around some pictures after. And I'm going to go back on my dishes there. So we've added our hummus. We've topped it with the couscous. What's next? I need to finish off my vegetables here. So with another spoon, go ahead and just try to place those vegetables gently on top of the couscous. You see how we're building layers and building colors here? It's just really going to look great. So I've gone ahead, added the rest of my veggies there to the top of the bowl. I'm going to go ahead. Remember those chickpeas we made? We haven't forgotten about them. So I'm going to go ahead, take those crunchy chickpeas, and we can just sort of place them around the edge of the bowl. All right. Last but not least, we have to add our chicken skewers. Vegetarians, you are done. That is your Mediterranean couscous with roasted veggies, you know, tons of crispy chickpeas. Oh, how could I forget? There's never an excuse not to add more cheese. So go ahead, grab that feta, crumble the rest over that dish. However you think, you know, it looks beautiful. Again, it's all just about really building colors, flavors, acidity, fat, heat. Last but not least, my chicken skewer. I'm going to go ahead, add that to the top of the dish. And if you want, you can just take a little drizzle of olive oil, drizzle that right over the top. And that, folks, is going to complete your Mediterranean couscous with homemade hummus, roasted veggies, chickpeas, and the souvlaki style chicken skewer. Let's just get one last shot here of what we put together. And as you can see, very shaky. Might have given you a small headache. But that's what we put together. So hopefully you have this delicious meal for two now. Like I said, please go ahead, subscribe to my channel. Tons of fun new YouTube videos are going to be coming out very shortly. Tons of easy recipes like this that'll be accompanied with a step-by-step picture recipe guide as was provided. So if you missed a step, feel free to go back to the recipe. I might have had to look a couple times or two, so no problem if you did as well. But, you know, I'm going to grab a fork and I'm going to grab a bite to eat. I encourage you guys to as well. So bon appetit. Thank you again so much to the Women's Interchange Network and to all of you for joining me. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're going to have tons of new fun videos coming out very soon. I'm hungry, so, you know, delicious. Enjoy, guys.